Well, it's happened again, folks. This is a follow-up to my video from last week. So today is November 1st, 2022, and I recorded a video and sent it out about a week ago showing where we are on a daily basis with expired listings here in Orange, Los Angeles, and San Diego counties, respectively. Those three are the main counties that I focus on. And I looked at a specific day last week and compared it to 365 days ago to show that I think at the time we had about 70 expired listings in one day last week between those three counties. But a year ago, exactly 1 year ago, it was half of that. It's like 35. So just kind of showing what the market is doing and how the shift is working. And this has to do with the rise in interest rates, pulling back the demand, but it also has to do with owners who maybe overshot what they had for expectations on price and value of their home, and their home sat and now they didn't sell and they are expired listings. It could be that they were given bad information or just were not informed at all on what the market had started doing over the summertime and thought that they could still get away with overpricing with the expectation that everything was going for over list price anyway. That's not the case in today's market. A lot of that has to do with the Fed raising the interest rates to try to curb the inflation, and consequently, buyers have been priced out of the homes that they really want to buy. Now, I am not a doomsdayer by any stretch. I completely believe that buyers today that still qualify for a home should buy a home, and that you should be doing something that we like to call date the rate, meaning your interest rate, because a lot of people in the industry, a lot of financial people in the industry and outside the industry are expecting rates to start tapering off and coming back down as early as next year, maybe even as early as first quarter. Once the inflation is under control and it's actually done its job, they'll start to relax their rates and come back down, obviously allowing you to be able to refinance what you had. So if you got in at 7%, 7.5%, or even 8%, which, by the way, when I bought a house in 2006, our interest rate was 7.5% back then. So it's not incredibly awful, the interest rates today. That's just a little aside. We'll get into that in another video. But what I want to talk about today is where things are at now, where we think they're going to be come first quarter, second quarter, third quarter of 2023, and also show you what I like to think of as opportunity if you are still in the hunt to purchase a home, especially right now. If you can still qualify, you have enough cash to put down, you're willing to date the rate temporarily to refinance when a better rate comes along, I'm going to show you tremendous, and I mean tremendous, opportunity at getting into the housing market right now. So again, last week I showed you how we had 70 expired listings, which was basically 2x what we had year over year on the exact same point in time in 2021. Let me show you what we got going on today. And this is going to be mind-boggling for some people. Stand by. Okay, I am sharing my screen. I am logged into my MLS. And like I talked about last week, I keep track of expired listings in the three counties that I like to work in. And I like to prospect to these because I feel like if you still want to sell your home and it didn't sell over time, I probably can have a plan put together to help you be successful. But let's just see what we got going on. So today, expired listings in those three counties. Look at that number, 430 listings expired today, November 1st, 2022. Now, I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, but Ron, it's fourth quarter. It's the first of the month. We always have a spike at the first of the month. That is true. Both of those things are true. It's fourth quarter. People are starting to take their homes off the market. Now, understand that I only pull expired listings. I am not pulling withdrawn listings and canceled contracts in my data here, just expireds, because that's really all I concentrate on. I don't worry about people that have withdrawn from the MLS or have maybe canceled. I wait for it to go expired before I like to prospect on it, just to be safe, and have a good plan put together. So that's all I'm looking at here, is just expired listings. So it's 430 today, November 1st, 2022. And again, people are gonna be like, yeah, but it's fourth quarter. It's the first of the month. We always have a spike. Okay, so what do you think we had on November 1st of 2021? Keep in mind that a week ago we had, I think it was like 35, 37 on a day in 2021. Let's look and see what we have November 1st of 2021. Come on, here we go. 61. So we've gone from 61 to 430 in one calendar year. Now, keep in mind, if we looked at kind of apples to apples, oranges to oranges, again, a week ago, this number here was 37. So if you want to call it a fourth quarter spike or first of the month spike, a year ago, you went from 37 to 61. This year, we went from 70 a week ago to 430. There's a lot more going on. I have a lot of theories and I have a lot of thoughts on it based on things that I like to read and watch online with economists. And by the way, when you research economists or listen to a different economist or people on TV or news programs or websites that you go to, pay attention to their credentials, pay attention to who's paying them to be on TV and giving the information, because you'll find a lot of times these guys that are national are actually being paid by hedge funds, other real estate lobbyist companies, and different things like that. And so they have an angle to pitch things to maybe sound more doom and gloom than things could be on the outlook, because they're trying to position their client in a positive light down the road. And again, that's a whole nother ball of wax in a video to get into. But just know that you have a lot of big companies out there that rhyme with willow and dead fish and all different types of things, that they give their own outlook on the housing economy, and they always spin it to not look good for the consumer, because they are holding a ton of real estate in their own portfolios, and they want to make sure that they are able to maximize their own profits. I don't think they really care a whole lot about us. Just my opinion. Take it for what you want. I can do another video on that. If someone ever wants to come on and do a video with me, I'd love to share a screen and do a video with someone that knows even more about this kind of stuff than I do. So anyway, let's get back to this. A year ago, 61 on November 1st, 2021. Today, 430. Why do I call this opportunity? Well, it's always been said, and I always learned, 10 years ago when I got into real estate, that an expired listing should be a great opportunity for someone who really wants to buy, mainly because it's a home where a seller wanted to sell or needed to sell. So you've already got through all the red tape of their mindset of, okay, they want to sell their home. For some reason, the numbers didn't come together, the transaction didn't come together, they weren't able to sell, and the listing expired. So when you prospect on these, and I love to prospect on these, I'm very intentional with how I do it. It's easy to know that just because the buying pool has shrunk, it hasn't shrunk that much. I mean, this is like an 8x increase year over year, but I don't think we've lost 8x in the buying pool right now year over year. We've lost a lot of buyers, but we haven't lost everybody. And if you show a buyer, even a buyer that's not actively looking right now because they're waiting, if I show them an opportunity, do you think they might jump on it? What are the chances they might come back in and jump on it? It's pretty high. So there you have it. 430 expired listings today, November 1st, 2022 versus 61 November 1st, 2021. And it's a lot more than just the interest rates going up and the buying pool shrinking, because you're not seeing the same ratios year over year. What do you think? If you're thinking about buying a home and you're in any of these counties, hit me up. I would love to help you, because I can probably match you to one of these people.